Welcome to Real Estate in Real Time. I'm Woody Zimmerman here with Mark Skibowski of Remax Lakes. Welcome to the show.
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Doing well. And I'll tell you what, I see the topic for today's show. And I remember when I bought my first house and we had our friends over, and my friend was just like so jealous that we actually bought a house, had a piece of property, and he's just like, he's like, I want this too, but I just don't think that I can afford it. I just can't do it.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're going to be talking about today.
We're going to be talking about how to save to buy a home. Whether you're a first-time home buyer or not, you still need to have resources available to cover some costs.
You do.
Because there's no free lunch.
No.
Do you know that?
Yeah, there's no free
There
lunch.
is no free lunch, although many people would like you to think there's a free lunch.
Yeah, my son was always come to me, hey, Dad, I found this online. This is
free.
free. It's free.
It's free. It's free to you for how much?
Yeah, it's not free.
Yeah. What's it really going to cost me? So, bottom line, the tough part about buying a home is even if you do 100% financing, right? If you qualify for the programs, which are USDA and VA, or 100% financing programs, there are still some costs associated. Yeah. And beyond that, once you buy the house, you're going to have to make some repairs. You're going to have things that you're going to have to fix. So, so why not budget up front or plan up front in order to cover those things? You're going to have, and yes, we do try to negotiate them. We do try to negotiate that the seller will pay your closing costs and things like that. But I'm Mr. Independent, right? I'm kind of the old school. Let me pay my own way.
Yeah.
Right. So if I have an understanding of what they are, and I can put a plan in place to where when I go to buy, I don't need to rely on that seller. I'd rather get a lower price than have them a higher price and then pay my costs.
Yeah.
I guess is the way that I prefer to work with it. So so buyers, what do you need to do? You need to have a plan. And what does that mean? It means a budget. Unfortunately, a budget doesn't have to be any big, long, drawn-out process.
Right.
I mean, I'm kind of going through this with a family member right now. You know, how much do you make?
Yeah.
How much do you spend?
Right.
That's simply what a budget is. How much is coming in the door? And how much do you expect to go out the door? So, if you don't know that, how can you plan for the future? How can you save or whatever for the future?
Yeah.
I mean, and I get it. It takes time, and you don't have to do it 365 days a year. But generally, there's every different method to do it. But the Mark method is take a month. To where you'll go through this cycle. So what are you going to miss out of that month? It's things that you pay 6 months, typically car insurance, homeowner's insurance, if you don't pay monthly. So you may miss some things. So when you're budgeting what your total expenses are, include those annual expenses and break it into a monthly bucket.
Right.
So how much is coming in the door? How much is going out? And what the family member I'm working with right now, what I hear is, well, I don't know. Well, you know what your pay is, typically. Well, yeah, but I get some overtime. Okay, let's budget conservative.
Okay.
Let's budget conservative. And, well, what about expenses? Well, I don't know what my monthly utilities are. I don't know it. Well, you can do an average and come up with that. Bottom line, you have to start somewhere. And the Mark method is a legal pad, yellow paper, start writing things down. Here's what I spend for rent. Here's what I spend for my car payment. Here's what I spend for gas. Here's what I spend for this, that.
Yep.
And just keep track of it for a month.
Right.
You can do it for a month. You're going to own this home for 30 years. Maybe.
Yeah.
Your mortgage is going to probably be for 30 years.
Right.
You're going to own it for a long time. Put some effort in up front.
Right.
So what's that do for us? It tells us how much extra is left at the end. Right? Money coming in, money going out. How much extra is left for me to save because I want to buy this house down the road.
Yeah.
Right? So in that budget process, don't forget to put in there for entertainment, because a lot of people don't.
Right.
And the reality is you're going to blow that budget out of the...
Of course you are, yes.
You are.
You are.
It's like exercise, right? January, we all come out those New Year's resolutions. I'm going to exercise every single day.
Yeah, right.
Well, put a realistic expectation out there. I'm going to exercise 3 times a week, right? Something I can attain. There is no way I'm exercising 7 times.
Yeah, no way.
You know, and I'm not every day. I'm just not going to do it. I enjoy exercise, but if I haven't done it in a long time, I hurt. All of a sudden, I stop and I'm done.
Yeah.
Budgeting, don't let that be, you know, a hurdle for you.
True.
Budget.
Yeah.
And if nothing else, even if you don't follow any of this stuff, at least write down how much is coming in the door, how much you're making, you know, where your sources of income, and then where your expenses are. You really need to know that so you can ultimately get to how much can I save in advance for a home. And along that way, many times you can see what you think you can afford for a home.
Right.
What you think you can afford to pay. So, you know, I know we spent the whole first half of the show here talking about budgeting,
but it's
that
important. Yeah.
It is that important
Yeah.
that you budget and track your expenses. So take that in detail. Don't do big general things, but don't get so tied up in it. Well, I have to be to the penny. It's ballpark.
Yeah.
Get some numbers down on paper so you know how much is coming in, how much is going out. And after the break, we'll go on a little bit further about some of these tips.
All right, you're listening to Real Estate in Real Time. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're listening to Real Estate in Real Time. I'm Woody Zimmerman here with Mark Skibowski of Remax Lakes, and we're talking about saving to buy a house.
Saving to buy a house, and that's the piece. I don't want people to get so tied up in that, oh, it's daunting, I can't do this. Again, it can be as simple as a sheet of paper, and you keep that sheet of paper.
Yeah.
Right? Just something to keep
and as you were
track of.
explaining, I mean, that's
Yeah.
exactly what
Right.
I did
Right.
Before buying a house and then after buying a house, and just trying to keep my budget in check.
So, you know, you're doing this budget, you do need to record all the crazy stuff that you buy. How many times a week do you stop and get a cup of coffee on the way indoor?
I used to do it like every day. It used to be I couldn't drive by a Starbucks without stopping.
Yeah, and what's a cup of Starbucks coffee?
Well,
Depends on what you get. If you
depends
get
on
a
what
full
I
or
was,
you get just
I was
a
buying
plain
buying the
coffee.
cheaper stuff. I was spending about $2 per cup, but I would do it like 10, 15 times a week.
So
like $30 a week.
$30 a week.
Yeah.
Times 52 weeks in a year.
Yeah.
$1,500.
$1,500.
Boy, I did that math in my head.
Yeah.
Amazing how that worked.
I tried to do it simple, but
so
yeah.
But the reality is that's $1,500
That's
that
a
could
lot of
go.
money.
We don't think about those pieces. That's why, you know, if you use a debit card instead of cash, it's one method to use it. You know, there are finance gurus. We were talking about Dave Ramsey, where you put stuff in an envelope and you only spend out it. Whatever system you use,
right.
It's important to really track what you're doing.
Right.
So when I worked back in a plant up in Michigan years ago, I worked night shift, and I had a guy that every day on the way into work, he smoked 3 packs of cigarettes a day, and he stopped every day and bought one of these big gulp, you know, massive Mountain Dews on the way in every day.
Yeah.
Well, he and I were talking, you know, and because I'm an inspector, watching him run the machine, whatever, and he's like, yeah, I'd really like to buy a fishing boat, but I don't have any money. And I'm like, Tom?
Yeah.
You're smoking 3 packs, and he stopped at a convenience store every day and bought 3 packs of cigarettes. So, one, smoking's not good for your health.
Yeah, of
right?
course, right.
Buy a carton instead of 3 packs at the convenience store, right? Now, I don't recommend buying cartons of cigarettes. I'm not advocating for that.
Yeah, right.
But if you're going to do it, do it wisely.
Yeah, right.
Okay, and secondly, why are you buying? And at that time, you know, a big gulp was, I don't know, $1.20 or $1.19 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
But I'm like, add that up. So ultimately, he's like, well, hey, you know, that's amazing. Now, I'm not going to say it's a miraculous story. He did not stop smoking, but he reduced the number of packs of cigarettes he smoked. He started buying cartons, and he stopped buying big gulps. He'd buy a 2-liter and bring it in and refill it at the plant while we were working. But ultimately, he did buy a fishing boat.
Yeah.
You know, but he just needed to see the path, how to get there. And I'm not saying it was life altering, but hey, he was able to achieve an objective. He got something that he wanted.
Right.
And long term, if your objective is to buy a house, you need to have your finances in order anyway. You need to know what you're spending. You need to know what you can afford or what you think you can afford. Where can I cut back? So part of the budgeting process in that 30-day period where you record everything that's going out the door, you'd be surprised. You know, I am frugal, cheap, so to speak.
Okay.
You know, there's a lot of Scotsmen in me.
Sure.
And we are frugal.
Yeah.
I mean, my mom passed that down. My dad, we're frugal. I mean, I can squeeze.
Badge of honor. It's okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I just pick up pennies on the pavement when I'm out there. People, what are you doing? Why are you picking that up? It's a penny.
Yeah, right.
You know what? 100 of them's $1.
Exactly.
That's all I can say. So how do you save?
Yeah.
You cut out some of these things that you're doing, or reduce, or come up with a different way.
Right.
Instead of stopping at Starbucks, you buy a bag of Starbucks, you brew it at home, and you you take it in the car with you. You're not stopping at Starbucks. Now, granted, you don't have a pot in your car. You're not going to replenish it, but you cut out one of those a day. If you cut out $5 a week,
right,
that's significant.
Right.
That's significant. That's money you can apply towards savings going forward. The other one, so cut out, unnecessary or things, frivolous spending, things like that. So keeping track of that. Automate your savings. Many times you can have auto payroll deductions into a savings account.
Yes.
And it hurts, yes it does, but once it's there, it's there.
Right.
Right? Once it's in the savings account, it's there. So automate your savings plan as much as you can. If you've got any opportunity to do something different, go into business for yourself while you're still working, you can generate some additional income doing that. Now that isn't for everybody, I get it. If you're working 70 hours a week, construction, highly unlikely you're going to go and find a second job.
Right.
Oh, there's 24 hours in a day. I can work 23 of them.
Yeah, right.
That's not going to be long term.
Right.
But look at other opportunities, other ways that you can add to your income to ultimately add to that savings for long term. Because buying a home, wealth-wise, is huge. And I guess kind of the last point that I wanted to make, why are we so focused on buying homes? So I've got this graph that shows home values have tripled since 1991.
Wow.
Home values have tripled. And in the state of Indiana, home prices have went up between 91 and 2024, 246%.
Yeah.
246%. Now, we've experienced this with COVID, right? The last couple of years.
We have
246% of it. I think 50% of that was in the last 3 years. But the reality is, long-term, owning a home can increase your wealth. So the importance of saving so that you can ultimately purchase is long-term, I think, a good decision for anybody.
Yeah.
Now, if you're going to move around, maybe not. But long-term, owning a home is one way to build wealth and pass something on to your kids as far as legacy goes.
Yeah, and it goes back to your why.
It goes back to your why, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, all right, very good. Great information, great show here, Mark. Appreciate it. Hey, your contact information?
Sure, website, skibowskiteam.com. Phone numbers, 574-527-0660. You can reach out directly, mark at skibowskiteam.com. Happy to field questions. I don't pretend to be a financial planner. There are lots of folks out there that can do that. But this process has worked. Budgeting is critical, whether you're buying a home or not.
Right.
Set a budget, keep track of what you're spending, so at least you know.
Yeah.
And you can be an educated consumer. How's that?
Good information. All right, very good. You've been listening to Real Estate in Real Time. Have yourself a wonderful weekend.